Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 3 of our new little podcast that we call Bulldogs Connect. We're so glad that you could join us today. And in these episodes, we like to sit down with some famous celebrity alumni. And of course, this week is no exception as we welcome in 2015 graduate Brian Bermingham. Brian's got an awesome story to tell because he not only played in the program, but he also came back and coached in the program for several seasons and played an incredible role in helping develop some young talent. In this episode, you'll hear him talk about his journey from graduation up till now. He's going to tell a very passionate story of the role his parents played in his development as a ball player, and he'll also retell some stories of that opportunity he had to help coach his younger brother, Jack, that we like to call Little Berm. And of course, we'll reminisce about that magical run that the 2015 team made as they advanced all the way to the state semifinals. So be sure to stay with us all the way to the end of the program and hear Brian's answers to the lightning round. And ladies and gentlemen, episode number 3 is coming at you right now. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's episode 3. It's go time, and we're bringing in another big gun, 2015 grad, Brian Bermingham. Hey, welcome to the show, Brian. How's it going?
It's good. Thanks for having me, Coach.
I tell you, we couldn't be more excited here. First thing, we got to get the important stuff out of the way, first of all. In the Bermingham household, are we going real tree? Are we going fake tree? How exactly do we get revved up for Christmas?
We are a fake tree family. Unfortunately, I like the real tree. We do a real tree. It seems like every 2 or 3 years maybe, but we got a fake one. I think they're going fake one this year.
Yeah, no doubt. There's pros and cons to both. That's
right.
For sure.
Right. Clean up. Yep.
And so as we get going here, I mean, you graduated in 2015. Mm-hmm. It really isn't that long ago.
Nope.
But during this short period of time, kind of take us from graduation to the journey, walk us through that journey to get you where you are now.
All right. I graduated 2015, and I decided I was going to go to ECC for electrical engineering. I gave it a shot, was not a fan, decided to get out of that, decided it wasn't for me, and I decided to kind of go the trade route. I've had numerous jobs. It's kind of ridiculous. I've worked on boilers. I've done remodeling. I've done landscaping. I've been a road painter at Accent Stripe, and right now I'm work at a pool service company. So I've kind of dabbled in just about everything since I got out of high school.
Kind of reminds me of your baseball talents here. You're kind of a jack of all trades. You can kind of get everything done.
Yeah.
So I'm looking back on this, and well, the one thing that I know the most from since you graduated was you got involved with coaching, and I think that's what makes your role within the program so unique. Is obviously you had a tremendous playing career, but you played a tremendous role helping out coaching with Coach Fridge at the JV level. Talk about that experience a little bit, and what you were able to learn from that experience, and what it meant to you.
That was a great opportunity to be able to do. Me and Fridge spent 2 years together. So I graduated 2015. I did a year, and then you came and got me to jump in with Fridge, and I loved it. It was great. To be able to see the game from the other side, having never coached before, very interesting. You learn a lot more than you would when you were playing, being on the other side of the fence. And I met a lot of great kids. I mean, my first freshman class, I think just graduated.
Yes.
Right. I don't know what year it was when they were freshmen, but they just graduated. And well, I was lucky enough to coach my little brother, which was very special for 2 years. His 2 years on JV, that was very cool. To be able to watch him grow as a player, even help him as a player and help all those guys as a player, not just him. It was very, very special. And I keep it close to my heart still, it was a great opportunity and I would love to do it again if you're looking. I mean, hey.
Well, it's, obviously I think, coaching is like any other skill, the more you work at it, the better you get. But there was no doubt that you had like a natural gift, and I think, you've always been a great communicator, and that was a key part. And you've just been blessed with a great deal of patience. You've got that real soft approach,
Yep.
and it's just very well received by the players. And of course, you know how to have fun too, which they don't mind
Right, they
either.
like that. Yeah, we goofed around a little bit, not too much, a
So
little bit.
speaking, so you're talking about getting to coach your brother.
Yep.
And I'm picturing mom and dad coming to those games, and
Right.
it had to be kind of wild for them to be, they're cheering for Jack at the plate and cheering for the first base coach at the
Right.
same.
And then I'm the one getting yelled at when somebody gets thrown out at second. When it's Jack sliding into second, he's out.
There's no
And they're
doubt.
yelling
There's
at
no
me.
doubt.
Why just send them?
Right, right. So tell us about mom and dad, and the relationship that you have with them, and kind of how they've helped nurture, this love for baseball.
I have been very lucky to have my parents. They drove me to every practice, every game in the winter, spring, fall. I mean, all of it. All the rides, they came. My dad was at almost every game. It means a lot to me that they were able to do that. I mean, he taught me how to catch, how to throw. I mean, we actually just spoke today. I was telling him that I was doing this, and he said, "Do you remember how long we would spend in the backyard?" And he would throw balls up against the bush, and I would go and like steal it like I was robbing a home run. And he said we would be out there for hours. I'd come in with scrapes from the bush, and but they were both awesome. I mean, and then I'd come home after a bad game, if I played not very well, and I'd be kind of hard on myself. And both of them, especially my mom, she would just be like, relax. I mean, there's always another game. She knew there would always be another game. She knew I wasn't just going to quit after one. So they were huge for what I've done and have still been doing, especially in baseball. I mean, they were great.
They are great folks. It's funny how moms have that secret talent to kind of see the big picture and encourage us along the way. There's no doubt. Um, so, you think of all the baseball you've played. I wanted to see if maybe we could tap into and see, what did the game of baseball teach you that maybe has shown up in these variety of experiences that you've had since graduation?
Well, one of the big things that you actually taught us a lot during my playing days was communication. Very, very big to be on the same page as everyone you were working with, playing with, even like hanging out with. I mean, being on the same page with people is huge. Lot better chance nothing will go wrong if everyone's on the same page. It pays to talk is really what baseball has taught me.
That's amazing. Yeah, we always used to say there's no such thing as too much communication, Yeah. Um, so now obviously we've been saddled with this pandemic for the past several months. We've kind of had these ebbs and flows, and we're kind of back down in the orange zone here as we speak right now. How has this been? I mean, I'm sure it's been frustrating, for sure. Has there been any silver linings in this pandemic, or what have you been able to take away from it?
I guess it really taught me the importance of keeping people close, even when they're not around, like the importance of relationships with your family, your friends, and everyone. I mean, just knowing that they're there, even when it is hard, and knowing that they're a call away, they're down the street, they're next door. I mean, just having close relationships with people will get you through just about anything. And I think that's what's kind of getting me through this pandemic. I mean, it's been tough, no question about it, but I have a great group of friends, a great family, and that's what got me through. And I think it could help a lot of people. Just keep your family close, keep your friends close, or 6 feet,
Yeah,
not too close.
right.
But, yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I was listening to someone talk about how frustrated they were with the term social distancing, and they
Mhm.
said, technically, we're practicing physical distancing, and if anything, we want to socially be closer than we've ever been,
Yeah, that's a very,
while
yeah, I
being
like that.
physically
I like that.
distanced. It's kind of, and like you tapped into those relationships or everything. So speaking of those friends, you're such a glue guy. You just got tremendous people skills. Who are the guys that you stay in close contact with? Who's in your inner circle these days?
Uh, well, I'm still from baseball. It's Murdy, Tosh, Maurer, Dan Harrington, Tom Moses. I talk to Cam here and there. I mean, I play softball with Cam. I played softball with Fridge. I mean, there's a lot of good guys that are still around, and yeah, we stay close. I mean, Rossi, all those guys. I mean, from the years above me to the years below. I mean, it's good. You meet some good guys playing baseball. That's for sure.
Yeah. Then this might accidentally start into a trend here. I asked Tommy the same question in episode 2. In that group, who's the first one to get married here?
Not Tosh. He's gonna kill me. Oh, realistically, probably Rossi.
Oh,
I
we
think
got
that was
another
Tom's
vote for
answer too.
Rossi.
Yeah, I'll
Oh,
vote for
that's
that.
2 votes, Rossi. Here we go, Rossi. Oh my goodness. I can't wait. I can't tell you how excited I am. We've just been kind of chomping in the bit, waiting to get into your playing days here, and eventually I'm going to keep, build the suspense here. We'll get to that 2015 season.
Mhm.
Walk us through the earlier days within the program. Talk to us about your JV experience, and then we'll kind of filter that on up into the varsity level.
Okay. Well, my freshman year, you were still on JV, I believe, and I was coming up. I was a skinny. I mean, still am a skinny little guy, but coming up, I was like, oh boy, Mr. Hill, scary Mr. Hill, and I got there, and we started going, and you knew that you had it right away because everything went smooth. It was just ran so well, and coming from playing a lot of like little league and modified, and then you jump into a high school program, you're like, whoa, this is baseball. Like this is a program. It's not just a team, and um I didn't really even have like a spot yet. I just kind of started playing first base and modified. I hadn't really dove into it completely yet. I was kind of just getting my feet wet there, and you stuck with me there, and I rolled for 4 years. I mean, and
So you
then
kind of, so yeah, you kind of then you're going to take that step from freshman to sophomore, and now Coach Fridge takes the helm.
mhm,
And I think the expectation going in that you were going to be, one of the main guys there.
right.
But then we hit a little roadblock. What happened?
I hit a wall. We were in the gym. It was a practice early in the year, so there's weather wasn't too hot, and we were in the gym at the high school, and we were doing I think it was a bunting drill. I got a bunt down, and I'm running down the baseline, it seemed, of the basketball court, and the second baseman runs over to cover first, and he's standing right on the back. I still give him a little crap for this when I see him, and I didn't want to run the kid over, so I jumped, and I smashed into the wall with my hands up like this, and I broke my wrist pretty darn good.
Oh man.
I
So
think
did that
Fridge has
wipe
got
out
a
the
good
whole
story
season,
about
or were
that
you
one.
able to make it back at the tail end?
I think I played 3 games at the end of the year, 3 or 4
Okay.
games. I missed the majority of the
Yeah.
year.
I wonder if, and I hadn't really thought of this until just now as you're telling that story. I wonder if this kind of played the silver lining to that experience was it kind of helped you see the game a little differently and kind of started to prepare you to be a
Okay.
coach.
Hmm.
I think because I know you were Fridge's right-hand man there for a while. And,
Right.
what's interesting is in every time, it doesn't matter what sport it is. It could be football, basketball, soccer, whatever.
Mhm.
When an athlete has that type of injury, you want to keep them involved somehow.
Right.
But unfortunately, it seems like there's a lot of times where the athlete slowly disappears, because they're not actively involved. And
Mhm.
and I just remember the role you played, and Fridge expressed several times how valuable you were. in your newfound role that year.
I
So
remember Fridge coming over to me on the bench a couple times. Well, and I'm in a cast sitting there. He goes, "Hey, who do we pinch run here? Who do we pinch
yeah.
hit?" I'm like, "You're asking me?" I'm like, "Yeah, this guy." And then he'd strike out, and I was like an idiot.
That's good. That's good. So now we're going to make the big leap to varsity,
Mhm.
and just a tremendous. So your junior year, a lot of solid, incredible talent, but not a incredible number of bodies per se. The
Right.
senior class a year ahead of you was a tremendous group, and Tommy got into it a little bit in the last episode. What do you remember about that graduating class, and what made them so tight knit?
That's just it. They were tight. Um, there was no busting them up. I mean, I remember when we lost that playoff game. I didn't expect to cry, but I cried because I was watching Brett Ross cry, and these guys that I grew up with, the toughest guys I've ran into, I'm like, oh boy, like this was a big deal for them. And I think that's when it clicked for me that like this is legit. Like this is we want to do well here. We don't want to half-ass anything. And I think they taught me that love it, do it right, and give it your all, because I know they did. And to bring up Ross again, when he flew over that fence to try and catch that home run in that playoff game, that's kind of when it clicked for me. I was like, wow, he was doing it all. He wanted it. Like, and that's when it clicked for me. It's like, we can do something here if we have the attitude that all those guys had.
And that kind of, and I want to picture that season, and it's tough to crack the lineup as a junior. We've had a lot of really good juniors. Kind of, they're the 10th or 11th best player. It's hard to get. Baseball's a tough sport. There's not a lot of playing opportunities when you're the 10th or 11th best player sometimes. But you played a huge role that year as a junior, and just for those that didn't get a chance to see Brian play, I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest defensive first basemen you're ever going to see. How did you balance that year? Is you've got this tremendous role defensively, but you're still like an emerging offensive player.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wasn't worried about it because I knew I was going to get my reps and everything, and luckily I had Big Zach Tone hitting for me. We were the greatest combination of a first baseman there we've ever seen. That dude could hit bombs and I could catch it. It was tough. I'll be honest. I mean, I wanted my at bats, obviously. Who doesn't? But I knew I wasn't there yet, and it kind of got me going. I was like, I'm going to be in the lineup next year. Like, I'm not just playing defense again. I mean, I prided myself in my defense. My defense was the best part of my game. And I don't know, that was an interesting season for me. It taught me a hell of a lot. Just to persevere and stick with it and and I wanted to get better so I could hit in the next year. I wanted to be a part of the team and more of a role than I had. But yeah, it was very, very interesting for sure.
So let's start to get into maybe the team aspect here. We're turning the corner into 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a moment where you started to say, you know what, this might be the team? This might be the team. Like we're not going to just be good. Like we could really make a run here.
Hmm. Trying to think of a moment. I had a feel. I knew we were good.
Yeah.
There was no question about that. But it had to be that windy Orchard Park game. When we played Orchard Park early in the year, I think they jumped up on us probably like 15-1 maybe early. And I think the final score ended up being 18-16. I believe we lost, but if you think about it, the last 5 innings of that game, the score was 16-3. I mean, just to go down like that and then not quit. Like most teams, a lot of people would roll over. You 15-1. How do we score that many runs? But we stuck in there. We hit. We played D, and we made it close. And that's when I kind of realized, like, they want it. There's no quit. There was no quit, and it was impressive. It was fun.
So let's parlay that right into the second meeting with Orchard Park to finish off the regular season.
So they were state ranked number 1, and they were undefeated.
Yeah,
I believe too. And we got there. I don't think there was a word spoke on the bus, and that was not normal for us. We were goofy, but yeah, I don't think there was a word spoke on the bus there. We knew what we were getting into. We were 2 of the best teams in the area, and we knew the matchup we had was what was his name? The pitcher, Sipowicz.
yeah.
Yeah. And then Cam. So it was their 1 versus our 1. It was going to be a game, and we knew it. And we got in there, and it was a real low scoring game. It was a 3-2 final. And Cam threw a gem. The Sipowicz threw a great game too. And we just got some hits and played D like we knew how to, and we knocked them off 3-2.
It was a true definition of a heavyweight battle, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Sometimes what's frustrating, especially in high school baseball, is you kind of get these dream non-league matchups sometimes between 2 great teams, but inevitably it's always like, the pitcher number 5 versus pitcher number 6 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can hardly remember another matchup where 2 great teams went toe to toe like that with their number 1s,
Right.
and it was kind of what I remember is, the weather was very favorable that spring. So we didn't have many rainouts to make up. So we actually finished our regular season on time. And then both of our teams were going to be number 1 seeds going into the playoffs. Right. So we kind of had buys. So we weren't worried about saving our number 1s for the playoffs. We kind of had this cushion of another week off. And boy, did both teams just let the punches fly that day. It was incredible.
That was probably one of the greatest games I played in until we took a little trip to Gwanda a little later in the year.
Yep. Yeah, that's for sure. Any other special memories from that league run to, on our way to earning the number 1 seed?
Well, that's not, our pitching was disgusting. Nobody could hit us, and it helped when we could score 10 runs a game. But the pitching we had, from Cam Murdy to Hoffman to Filas to Dills to Luker to me to Ian Wilson. I mean, everybody could really pitch. It was actually incredible. You were confident with anybody you put out there. And I think there was never a game during that whole league run that we thought we didn't have a chance to win with whoever we put out there, regardless of who it was or who we were playing.
Okay, so let's see if we can start to heat it up in the playoffs here a little bit. And that earns us the big matchup with Olean in the crossover finals. Fill us in on that game. If someone wasn't there that night, and most of Hamburg was there, but if someone wasn't there, fill us in.
So it was one of the first games we got to play under the lights that year. And so we were playing a night game. I remember it being a little sticky, a little warm. And we got there. We knew we were facing their number 1, the 3 house, and we had our number 1 on the mound. So we knew we were going to have another good one. And they dueled no hitters until the 5th inning. Like, it was a 0-0 game. Nobody could get on base. And we're just like, okay, somebody's got to crack in here. Like, somebody's got to score at some point. So we're just like, we're just keep doing what we're doing. And we stuck with it. And we ended up in extra innings. And it turned out to be a battle of which pitcher was going to come out first.
Yeah.
It was because Cam was dealing. 3 house was dealing. And it was who's going to max their pitch count for. It was just who's gonna tire out, who's gonna make a mistake. And neither of them really ended up making a mistake. I think they ended up pulling, or I think Austin walked in was it the 9th, bottom of the 9th?
Boy, eighth maybe? Eighth.
I think Austin walked to lead off, and then they pulled 3 house, and they brought in the other guy, and I remember he was wearing green cleats. And I think he threw Cam a fastball, and Cam just missed it. He hit it a mile up in the air. It was a fly ball. And I think Austin got the second during that at bat somehow, I believe. If pass ball stole something. So Cam's out, there's one out, and David Edie comes up. And I'm getting the chills thinking about it. And David hits a ball to Hamburg from Gowanda. And we're watching it disappear over the scoreboard. And I think I climbed over the dugout fence and like jumped off the top of it. We're all going nuts. The fans were on the field. That was the greatest game I've ever played in. No doubt about it. It was, I still have the chills. It was an incredible experience that I will never forget. And it was huge for I'm glad it happened to David. That was the perfect guy that could happen to. And I think that's what was more of it. It was just so special to have David do it.
You're right, buddy. You're right. The goosebumps are on full alert right now. You're right. It was extra special to see David get that hit. Let me ask you one more baseball question, and then we'll get into our lightning round. We talked earlier about you being just an insanely talented defensive first baseman. If you've got a new, young, raw first baseman, how do you start that grooming process? What are you gonna prioritize as you start developing that young first baseman?
Can't be afraid of the ball. That ball is going to hit you in the chest. It's going to hit you where you don't want it to hit you. It's going to hit you just about everywhere. That was what my biggest thing was at first, because I was kind of going for balls and I was letting them get to the sides of me, underneath me. And then at some point it clicked. I was like, I'm better off letting this thing hit me in the chest than letting it go by me. And I think that's really what it is. You got to just be able to keep it in front of you and do whatever you can to keep that ball in play, hold them to one, and whether they're safe or out. I mean, knocking the ball down was huge. But I think for me as first base, I was big with my talking. I feel like I yelled a lot when we were on the field. And for a position that some think is very simple, I mean, it's a very easy position to pick up. And there's not much ridiculous responsibility, not as much as a middle infielder where you're bouncing runners and everything. So I kind of used my communication to keep myself in the game, kind of keep everybody else in the game if I could. Just yelling how many outs there were, who's the cutoffs were, how many guys out, whatever, just trying to keep everybody involved when my role wasn't as huge at the time of the play.
That's awesome. I think it's a mentality thing, right? And you just had that bulldog toughness about you that made you so good over there. All right,
I do want to say this one more thing for the first baseman. They don't always have to be the big guys. They can be the skinny, tall guys too.
That's for sure. I'll take an athlete over there any day. And I thought that's like, we had a lot of solid first basemen, but I mean, what you helped me realize is that the first baseman can really be a game changer. Like you can literally make a play where the whole game just pivots, and changes, and it creates momentum, and it ends rallies for the other team and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our lightning round that we're going to finish with, and feel free, your answers can be as simple or as in-depth as you want them to be. What advice would you give the next wave of Bulldogs, the ones that are going to take the field in 2021? What advice do you give them?
I'd tell them, trust your coaches. I don't know what side of me you're on, but this guy knows what he's doing. Trust him. Listen to him. They good guys to trust. They know what they're doing. They're not going to do you wrong. Do the work. And I think do the work is one of the more important things, but more importantly to me, enjoy your time playing baseball in high school, period. Because I would kill to be that young again. I mean, not have all them paying bills now. I live on my own. I mean, some of my best friends to this day, I met on the diamond, and I wouldn't want to change a thing about that. And just enjoy it, really.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, when you play on a team like you did, and you've got the superstars of Cam Ringo and David Edie,
Mhm.
and certainly they deserved every accolade on the planet.
Oh,
But,
absolutely. Yeah.
but naturally, something that's going to happen is you're going to have some other really great ball players go under the radar. Who
Mhm.
was a teammate that stood out to you as going under the radar?
Dan Riley.
Ooh, yeah,
Dude could
absolutely.
hit. Dude could hit. I think he hit for Maurer. I think Maurer was the
Yep.
defense. It was kind of like the me and Tone situation. Um, Maurer could play great defense, and Dan didn't look pretty, but Dan could hit. He had one of those weird tomahawk swings, but he found a way over the second baseman every time, it seemed. So yeah, I don't think he got enough credit for what we did. The hits he had, I think he had a bunch of RBIs. I mean, he was in a middle of the order kind of spot. I think he hit like 6 or 7. There always seems to be guys on when you have the guys in front of him.
Yep.
There always seem to be on base. He came up with some big hits to score us some runs, and yeah, I don't think he got enough credit for what we ended up doing.
He was tremendous, tremendous. That's a great pick, Brian. I'm glad you mentioned him. Um, favorite place to go out to eat in Hamburg?
Ooh, well, I'm very uh, no, what's the word for it? I'm very dedicated to the Poorhouse chicken wings.
Yes.
Um, but I'll tell you what, I'm a sucker for a juicy burger. That's for sure.
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
That's
yes.
for sure. You can't go wrong. That whole like strip, the Main Street to Buffalo Street, you really can't go wrong. I mean, there's all of them. The Carte Blanche, Coyote. I mean, juicy.
Is there a
Mammo's is
favorite
there.
favorite burger on the juicy menu?
I like. It's called the One Main Street, I believe. It's got
Yeah.
chicken wing dip on it,
Oh, no
and
kidding,
it's
no
good.
kidding. I don't
It's
think I've tried that one. Okay, all right.
a little
I'm
plug for
putting that on
juicy.
my list here.
It's
You got to get that. I'm gonna try that one out
a
here.
good one. Can't go
Yeah.
wrong.
Reflecting back on your high school days, was there a favorite class or teacher that had a bigger impact on you?
I was very close with Mrs. Raybold, my English teacher. I remember my freshman year, I had her first period. So I coming in, little freshman, terrified to go to high school, all these big kids. And I sat down, and I remember she came right over to me and she introduced herself, said hi. And then through the years, I found myself having coffee with her almost every day, every morning.
No
Um,
kidding.
so I'd go in there, we'd have coffee together. She always, and well, one of the better parts, she always had candy in the back of the room. So I'd sneak in, even when she had classes. I don't know if she liked this or not, but I'd sneak in, go to the back, give her a wave, and take off. But yeah, we were very close. I think she really taught me that it's very important to be kind, because you never know what someone's dealing with. It's just very important to be nice. And she was nothing. I don't think I've ever heard a sour word come out of her mouth in any bad tone. And yeah, she was great.
She is an absolute saint, an absolute saint. I can't tell you, absolute heart of gold. That's outstanding, Berm. That's outstanding. And let's close on this. Do you have a favorite personal memory, of a play that you were involved in that will be, your top of the line play?
Top of the line play. I think it was in one of the playoff games. I think it was Will East. There was a pop-up behind first base into right field, and Maurer's out there, and I'm running straight back to the home plate, looking straight up in the air, hoping I hear Maurer at some point say, I got it. I don't hear him. I don't hear anything. Not like he would have heard him. I mean, but I was running. I'm like, Maurer, please. Like, I don't think I'm going to make it to this. And I'm like, at first I'm thinking like, okay, this might drop. And then I don't know if I hit like a third gear. I didn't even know I had a third gear. And I caught up to it. I threw my arm out and I ended up catching the ball. And I was like, I looked down. I was like, oh, wow.
It's
I
there.
caught it. I still give Maurer some crap for that.
Yeah. I would thought that's the game changing type of plays that you spoiled us with for all those years. As coaches, certain a play like that, you're kind of thinking ahead. You know,
Right.
you're already envisioning maybe that ball dropping and the situation that's going to create,
Right.
things like that. And then all of a sudden you catch the ball and you're like, oh my gosh, the inning's over. Like they're
Right.
all coming off the field, like
Don't
where
worry.
it's our
Yeah.
turn to hit. You know,
Right.
it's just an incredible change of momentum. So,
And then there was
well,
another one. Um, this one was something you specifically uh, got in my head. We would do it at New Era all the time. The runner on first, the bunt. They bunted. I think who was Griff. Griff was playing third probably, or the pitcher, whoever's pitching, or Griff grabbed it, threw it over to me. The runner was a deer. He was flying. So he was on first. Bunt got down. He's rounding second, going to third. He's in third safely. And you had taught me snap the ball, let's throw it. And I think I threw it. So we got him at first, and I popped off and immediately snapped it straight over to third. And I think I threw it as he was rounding, and I think Griff caught it, and he was dead in the water. I think it was to end a game against
yeah,
Will South, and
yeah,
I think because that was just when something you work on so many times in practice, and you don't know if you're ever even going to use it, and it comes. I think that was game one. I think,
yep.
and if you have it happen in the first game, and you're like, wow, that's why I was doing that for a half hour every practice, throwing it across the diamond. And yeah, that was one of the cool plays for me too.
It was an unbelievable play. There's not many first basemen that were athletic enough to make that throw that quick, that sharp, that crisp. And I think the funny thing, and I want to say that would have been the tying run, because that's why they were just trying to bunt the tying run into position,
Right.
and I think a lot of the people, we had a good crowd there that day. Most of the crowd didn't even see it. They didn't even know why the game was over,
Right.
because you just kind of mentally, like, it's a sack bunt, get the out at first. And I think a lot of people just kind of checked out. And then
Right.
all of a sudden they see us celebrating, and the game is over, and they're like, what just happened? And it was just an incredible, incredible play. So, oh, Brian, we could do this all night, buddy. We could do this all night.
We could.
I can't tell you how thankful I am for everything you've done for the program, and for jumping on with us tonight. So
Of course, I'd do it all again.
yeah, but I'm sure we'll be seeing you sooner than later. We'll get back to normal. We'll get through this pandemic, and we'll have more opportunities to tell some good old stories. So
You got it.
all right, take it easy, B. We'll see you, buddy.
Sure.